What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, we are continuing our Soulbound reward card deep dive, and today's video, or this video, I should say, is the Earth Splinter. So there should already be videos out for the Fire and Water Splinter, so if you missed those, make sure you go check them out if you're interested. But we are going to dive right in and start with the Summoner, which is a rare card, and Lob Lowland is the one. So I guess it doesn't really matter the stats, but this is a rare summoner. So what do you get with this guy? -1 speed and the conscript ability. So for anybody new, the conscript ability allows you to use a gladiator card, which the Earth the Earth gladiators are quite good. They include Cora Townsend, which is awesome. So if you have her, being able to use her in some of these, ranked play games or potentially tournaments with Lob Lowland could come in very handy. And she's good from the get-go, right, at level 1. So I think this card is going to be quite desired for anybody that has a Cora. And I have a Cora that's just level 1 right now. But I could see some games in which Cora could be very, very valuable to have at the front end. So again, it's going to be 16 mana for someone like Cora, but there are some other good gladiator cards in there as well. The -1 speed is okay. Speed is very important to the meta. So right now, the Earth team tends to be very slow. So if you're slowing down the other team a little bit to to make them match you, I don't think that that's terrible, especially because a lot of the monsters for the Earth team are magic, and magic tends to go first. Not tends, but magic by rule goes first. So, if you're able to slow that speed down all of a sudden, even if your speed is equal and you have more magic monsters, now all of a sudden you are going first. And there's some great legendary magic monsters, including Dr. Blight, Queen Mycelia, out there that will be going first. So Lob Lowland, again, I think pretty basic as a summoner, but still interesting in terms of what he can bring to the table for gladiator cards. Okay, so now let's start with the common cards. We have Fungus Flinger, which sounds phenomenal. And so at the first level, this is a common card. You get the Martyr ability, which is super fun. So this is a card. It's got 2 health, 3 damage. It is ripe to throw either in the front or the back as a sacrifice, or throw them somewhere in the middle as an opportunity sacrifice, and get that immediate Martyr ability right off the bat. So I'm a fan of this card just for that alone. It's 3 mana, so it's not a lot. You're not wasting too much, and it could potentially buff up your other cards quite a bit. Like I, for example, am thinking about positioning him in a spot between like Queen Mycelia and Dr. Blight, for example, where he's like in the sneak target spot, and you just let the sneak take him out, and then all of a sudden Queen Mycelia is buffed up and Dr. Blight are buffed up. Oh, perfect. And you're playing with Obsidian? Man, that's my strategy right off the get-go. At level 3, which is maxed for bronze, you do get an extra health as well as an extra speed, but he's not doing much damage. It's 1 damage, 2 speed, 3 mana. Now, this card becomes interesting in, I guess in silver, because you get that blind ability, also an increased speed, but the blind ability can come in very handy. I mean, this is 25% chance of the opponent monster missing if it's a melee or ranged attack. So again, I think blind is underrated because it's hard to determine how successful it is. Sometimes you just see misses, but you're not sure if it's a speed thing or it's a blind thing or it's a flying thing, but blind definitely still plays a role in that. And then maxed for gold, you do get an additional speed, additional health, but still pretty weak. So it's very much a support monster that is meant to be sacrificed for the other monsters around it. And then at the highest levels, you get the snare ability as well as a second damage. So again, it's not terrible, but I do like it for the Martyr ability from the get-go, and this is a card that I can see myself using right away. Okay, the other common card here is a 6 mana tank, and this dude is hefty. Now, this is maxed out, so let's go ahead and see where it's at from the beginning. Oh, I love it. What Earth has been missing is a solid void tank, or tank with void. Now, you do get something like Gargoyle Lion, I think in silver, as well as Zenith Monk, but that's in gold. Whereas now, in order to replace something like Unicorn Mustang, you will get this guy at level 1 with void, and boy, is he a meat shield. 10 health. Now, he's pretty slow, too, and he can't attack much, but he is meant to just be a blockade for 6 mana, and I would say he is not a bad one, especially with the magic meta that is currently happening in the Earth Splinter. Now, here's the thing. With someone like him, you're not going to use him necessarily if you have someone like Immortalis. But if you don't have Immortalis, well, now you can get him from level 1 and have at least some kind of tank with Void. Now, where he gets really interesting, we'll go to maxed for silver first. You get an extra health there as well as an extra attack and speed. So that's okay. But for me, this guy isn't really about offense. He's very much about defense, because as soon as you get into gold, you get this return fire ability. So now he becomes perfect as a tank. Well, the thing is, he's a melee tank, so you won't be able to use him in a non-melee game, obviously. But if you know your opponent is not going to be going heavy on melee, for example, maybe for example, it is a Thorns rule set, which we've started to see more and more. Well, now all of a sudden you throw him in there. Sure, is he going to take some damage from Thorns? He will, but he also provides a perfect tank that can take a hit as well as deliver one back to the other attack types. And then, of course, at the highest levels, you get 6 mana, 4 damage, 3 speed, and then these 2 abilities. So I like this card a lot. I don't know how much I'll use it, to be honest. I think it's very situational. And as somebody that does have Immortalis, I would probably opt for other tanks. But he has a nice meat shield, I will say. For 6 mana, it's not bad. Okay, let's move on to the rare cards now. We already covered Lob Lowland, but you got Madcap Magus. This guy looks super cool with that gigantic hat on his head. So rare card means, oh, wow. So you get Scattershot right off the get-go. Now, he is super slow. 4 mana, 1 speed, 1 damage, 1 health. I mean, this guy, and you have no idea where he's firing. So I'm trying to figure out what the benefit of him here is. You do get Life Leech, so he is going to be trying to pick up some health from whoever he does hit. But he just seems ripe for getting absolutely murdered right away. I can't think of a time in which I would use him. Now, once you do get to maxed for silver, you get that extra health. Actually, you get an extra health here, but also an extra attack. Once you get maxed for gold, I do like the Affliction ability, but again, if you can't really control where it's going, Scattershot is just one of those that's like, it's tough for me to plan for, and I don't know that scattershotting Life Leech is cool, but scattershotting Affliction is not really what I'd want, and then scattershotting Dispel on top of that, I don't know. Could be interesting, could be not. I mean, the artwork is cool. It looks like an awesome card, but I would say right off the bat, I don't see much use cases in my current style of play in which I would opt for him at 4 mana over someone like a Queen Mycelia or a Dr. Blight or any of these other cards for 3-4 mana. But again, who knows? There could be some interesting rule sets in the future. Okay, let's go to the epic card now. So each monster or each splinter has an epic card with no attack and is just an awesome support card. So this one is actually the cheapest we've seen so far. 4 mana for Thane Newsong. A little slow, but 7 health. So I guess decent meat shield. But from the get-go, you have a Inspire, which we haven't seen on the Earth team in a while, at least not in the modern meta. So imagine throwing him into a game with someone like Grund, for example. Or, I mean, I love playing, especially in like lower mana games, because keep in mind, he can play Little League as opposed to some of the other epic cards out there. He can play Little League, so imagine throwing him in with a Zenith Monk and a Uraeus or whatever the case is, right? And then he only gets better as you level up. Maxed for silver, now you get +1 health, strengthened to all of your monsters. At level 5, which is maxed for gold, you will get the swiftness ability. So now everybody's faster, they're stronger, and they can do more damage from a melee perspective. This might be my favorite one. Oh, it's hard, man. All these epic cards are going to be super fun. I really like the fire one as well, but this is like an offensive. Like the fire one is a very good defensive one. This is a great offensive one. And then, well, there's a defensive ability here where you get headwinds at the highest level. So this is a card I really like, mainly because it's 4 mana and you're able to use it in a lot more rule sets. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited for this one. Now let's see how well it pairs with Ava the Undaunted. Now Ava the Undaunted is the legendary monster that has the weapons training ability. I believe there's one for each splinter. And so you can see that Ava the Undaunted is a ranged attacker. So at the first level, 8 mana, 3 range damage, 2 speed, 2 armor, 4 health. So you'd be giving, 2 speed, or sorry, you'd be giving 2 range damage to any adjacent monsters that don't have an attack. I like the shatter ability, but once again, it feels a little redundant with someone like Immortalis. Now here's the beautiful thing though. If you haven't been paying attention, and I've been saying this for a while, even though we're burning chaos packs, there's not enough cards. For like new players coming in, there will not be nearly enough cards. So when we talk about like, man, there's a lot of Immortalises or whatever, like, if the player base does increase over the next year, which is, when these cards will be available, if it does increase, there's not going to be enough cards. So sure, it might seem redundant with someone like Immortalis, but imagine someone coming in January 2024 when Immortalis, goes up in price or is not as easily available, or you have to rent him or whatever the case is. Well, now, you can win an Ava the Undaunted just by playing the game, which offers you that ability, right? And similar to the Teratius something, the common card that has the Void ability. So it does seem a little redundant, but I think that they're kind of future planning here, which I think is great. At the higher levels, so in gold, looks like your stats are all this. No, you do get 1 extra health, and you get the knockout ability. I'm not sure how much stun I see in Earth. I know that there's stun monsters in Rift Watchers. So, again, knockout is not something that I value super highly, but at the highest levels, you do get oppress with an additional attack. So this, I think, could become really, really clutch in many cases, because I think we're going to start to see weapons training used a lot more. So any monster with oppress is one that I am keeping a close eye on. All right, and let's look at the other legendary card. Now, this is a beast. It is actually called a Hulk, a Teratius Hulk. It is 11 mana, so technically a giant. And you can see here that from the get-go, this thing has taunt as well as void armor. So it is a heck of a meat shield. I mean, you're going to have to work through at level 1, 15 essentially hit points, right? Because it's with void armor, this is combined. Now, it is slow, but that also makes it great for something like reverse rule speeds. So 11 mana, 4 damage. At the higher levels, you get that. So at silver, you get that 5th damage, which is kind of nice. I love the fact that throughout it stays at 1 speed. And then at the higher levels, you do get void. Sorry, not void, but what's this? Demoralize, which reduces your opponent's melee attacks, which is great as somewhat of a counter for something like Inspire on that epic card here. What's it called? Thane Nusong. So it's a great counter to that. And then, of course, you get the 6th damage at the highest level. So I like this card a lot. I mean, it's a giant, so it's going to take a good amount of damage. It is attracting all that damage with taunt, but I'm just trying to imagine, you play him with someone like Immortalis, and now he has void armor and void. That comes in really handy in many ways, because you are drawing all of the attention to you. And then if you're able to play someone like what's his name, Goblin Psychic, that has the silence ability, and you're reducing the amount of damage that's coming in. Yeah, Teratius Hulk, I think, could be one that's utilized a lot. 11 mana is expensive, and you're going to be susceptible to Giant Killer. But I can see this card getting a lot of uses, especially in reverse rule speeds, where you can just be doing a heck of a lot of damage and then shielding the rest of your team from any damage with the taunt ability. But excited for this one to hit, and I'm just hoping that I'm able to get all of these cards as soon as possible. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to level up for silver or gold, but I'm looking forward to it very much. So that is all I have for you guys in the Earth Splinter. Let me know if you have any thoughts, comments. Otherwise, I will catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.